Hi, and welcome to the Snooze Strategists. This is the show where we use a scientific basis to help you maximize your energy in order to achieve everything you want to achieve during the day and beyond. I'm Alex Young. I've got Ashen Mithana here. How's it going, Ashen?
Yeah, great. Nice sunny day here. I'm looking forward to our chat.
Yep.
How about you?
Refreshed from my 2-week holiday over in Japan, so that was great. So I think this is a nice sort of, it's been 3 days back at work, and this is the first weekend. So I think I'm still recovering, and by recovering, it's cleaning the house and organizing all the goodies I bought. Bought a lot of scale models, a couple of clothes. This is the first time ever I've bought very few clothes because usually I go over there to stock up. Came back with quite a bit of snacks as well. So that was good.
Nice. Sounds like you're having a good time over there.
Yeah. So we go every year, and it's mostly time with in-laws over there. But this time around, actually, every single day I spent some time just wandering the neighborhood. And I love looking at the old architecture because you come across, houses that anywhere between 50 and 100 years old, little shrines and temples and things like that. So it's interesting to see the old style architecture, and then you see juxtaposition. You see that contrast with new, freshly built houses, and they're very good at tearing down houses very cleanly and neatly, and then building something beautiful on top of it. So I like to just wander around and just have a look and see. And that's also part of my daily exercise, since I'm trying to really get back into moving after sitting at my desk so much.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So today I thought it might be good to have a bit of a casual chit chat. I'd love to share my experience with that 5 a.m. club since I started to kick that off. And I can share a little bit more about, we talked about the energy drinks in Japan, and so I was chugging a couple of them and like to share my experience with them. Would I recommend them or not? I brought some back for you, so at some point you can experience it yourself. So the 5 a.m. club. So my family went first to Japan, so that left me with the empty house apart from the puppy. And one thing I'd have to say about the 5 a.m. club is it's quite dependent on your personal situation, your household. If you've got a lot of people in the house, if you've got a lot of kids in the house, if you've got no one in the house, maybe your kids are grown up and have left the house. But depending on your situation, it may be more possible or less possible. So for me, with 2 little kids and my wife in the bed, I have to consider, and the dog in the room next door, the puppy. If I make a noise in the morning, he'll wake up. If I put on the alarm too early, my wife will wake up. If I start doing exercise around the house, the kids will wake up. So trying to work all of that out has been challenging until now, when they were out for a week. So for that week, my 5-day challenge, I said, I'm gonna do it. I'll do the 5 a.m. wake up. Of course, that means I need to sleep at 10:30 to make sure I get that 7 to 8 hours. So that kind of forced me to work to have the duration locked in. If it was any less, I'd just wake up tired. So get the 7 to 8 locked in, and I had prepared both mentally and physically for, okay, I'm going to do 20 minutes of exercise. What will that be? And it was a case of jump onto YouTube, and there was some great 20-minute low impact body weight exercises you can do in your house. Don't need gym weights or anything like that. Could be boxercise, or sometimes just stretches or yoga. So I had that locked in, and then I had 20 minutes of a book to read, and the book I was reading, of course, was Deep Work.
Nice.
And then 20 minutes of meditation, and once again I went to YouTube for some great meditation videos. So that was my 2020, and what I found was that the waking up part was easy. I don't have a problem waking up. making sure you got the 7 to 8 was important. Waking up at that time, being very quiet. So I didn't leave my room. So I was exercising in my room so as not to wake up the puppy. And I did it. So there was no problem with doing low impact quiet exercises. But doing that exercise first thing was great. So it was enough exercise to break a sweat and wake you up. Those two things. So it was enough to feel like, oh, I feel like I should have a shower after this. It was like it got your heart racing, that kind of thing. But it was just enough. It wasn't like a 1 hour, 40-minute gym session, but just enough to get you up and running and you know, feeling alert for one thing.
Yeah.
Then the 20 minutes of the reading was good. I was thinking like, oh, maybe I should just meditate straight after, but it was actually quite good to sit down and cool off.
Yeah.
And I found that in 20 minutes of reading, I got through like 7 or 8 pages and I could kind of focus and take notes at the same time. And that focus was quite good in that I was like, because I knew it was 20 minutes, it didn't feel like, oh, I got to pick up this book and who knows how long it's going to take. And that becomes a mental hurdle. But it's like 20 minutes. Okay, I better hurry and read as much as I can. It's a different sort of motivation. So that was good to do that part. And then the 20 minutes meditation, which is new for me. I don't normally meditate. Find it quite challenging, but doing that was kind of like the icing on the cake, where your body sort of had time to relax, cool down. You had something in your head because you just read a book, and you're doing the guided meditation. But at the end of all that, it just felt like, wow, hey, it's 6 o'clock and I've done all this stuff. Now what else can I do? But you actually, it feels great to go, oh, I've achieved exercise. I've done some learning. They're all the things that I would normally carry around in my head during the day, going, oh, maybe I should be doing some walking, some extra steps. Surely I should read that book that I bought that I haven't sort of picked up.
Yeah.
And it felt great to just sort of remove those thoughts from your head and go, I've done it. Bite-sized chunks, I've still achieved it. I haven't finished the book, but I feel satisfied I've made baby steps towards these things. And so that was a great sort of refreshing start to the day, just that 1 hour alone.
Yeah. No, look, it sounds amazing, and it makes a lot of sense. I think we talked about this many times in the past about waking up at regular times, getting blue light and whatnot. But part of the exercise comes in, it increases your adrenaline in the morning, and that really help to deal with stress during the day. So mental health point of view, and giving you that nice calm feeling, I think getting the 20 minutes of exercise first thing in the morning is just probably one of the best things you can actually do to yourself.
Yeah.
So that's just, yes, amazing. The one question I have, did you like set alarms or something? How did you shift between all these tasks within an hour? What was your...
I just put the stopwatch on my phone.
Yeah.
And just let that so I just do a lap each time, 20 minutes, and that's how I regulate.
Yeah. No, I'm curious to try this as well. I have always wanted to, but I think I never really act on it. But now knowing that it worked for you, I think kind of pushing me to give it a shot as well.
The question is, have I continued doing it? So it's while I was in Japan, I tried to do it. I got up at probably 6 instead of 5. And that's a good question. Does it matter 5 or 6 or 7? And I think it's the difference between 5 and 6 felt like when it was 5, there was zero rush. It's like no hurry. You know, if you've got 2 hours, you've got a couple of hours before work starts. So it never felt like I had to worry in the back of my head about, oh, do I need to watch the time? Waking up at 6, you get close to 7. 7's my usual wake up time. So it's kind of like mentally, I'm already mentally preparing for the day. And so it's sort of, my mindset was no longer relaxed, but it was, and focus, it was more of oh, I better hurry up with this 2020 thing because kids will wake up at 7 and I need to do this and make the breakfast and all that. So that was the difference for me between 5 and 6 o'clock. But 6 o'clock, because it was the holidays, it was okay. So I, as I said at the beginning, I left the house, walked around the neighborhood,
Yeah.
got a lot of steps in, came back, did some reading, didn't quite do the meditation because the kids were up and around by then.
Yeah.
But comparing doing and not doing made it quite clear that it's worthwhile doing it. If you can do the whole set, then you've got, I wrote down in my blog, it's kind of like it's this body, mind, soul sort of wonderful balance that you've got. But then during that week, I was also committing myself to writing one blog post in Medium or Twitter a day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because I woke up at 5, finished by 6, that gave me an hour or two, really 3 hours before work. So straight after I said, okay, I'm going to do another 30 minutes, 30, 30, 30, 30. And in that 30 minutes, I'll do my atomic essay or do my tweet or my Medium blog or whatever. So fresh, focused, I could write and then start work. And how amazing do you feel then? It's like, wow, I've done I don't need to worry about, oh, did I do my blog post? I've got, oh, bang, 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 bang. So I think that timing actually works really well now. And I wouldn't have tried this actually if it wasn't for that time without the family, because I was like, I just need some quiet time to get it into the habit. But that's the other component here, the habit side, and why making it into a habit is going to be really important, because I haven't been fully consistent. And it's, as I mentioned before we were talking, if I need to work late at night to midnight, that screws up my 7 to 8 hours for 5 a.m.
Yeah,
wake
that's right.
up. So there's more things I need to finesse in my routine, such as, and I wrote this down on a piece of paper, it's like if I'm waking up early, I'm probably starting work early, then I should be finishing work early too. And that's a really tough discipline to get into, or a habit to switch into, because I struggle to stop. So it's the 5 o'clock, should I do it? Or actually 4:30, I should be clocking off at 4 or 4:30 if I'm starting work earlier, but I don't feel like it. No, I don't feel like it, but I struggle to do it because it feels like, oh, it's still the work day. Maybe there's a meeting on at 4 or or that sort of thing. But that's it. I didn't write it down. It's something I need to change in my sort of routine.
Yeah, I think that's one of the tricky parts of those societal pressures, right? Whether taking care of the kids, the family, or the work now. And I think biggest downside of working from home is, I think, exactly what you mentioned. It's not like you're walking out of the door at the office. Now you have the laptop in your house, you're working.
Yeah,
So it's,
yeah,
I always find hard to have that strong line as well. So now time to shut down. I keep pushing it till bit late as well. So rather than, I think it's a strong boundary now. It's like a big gray area, like whether it's 4:30 or 6:30. I just keep pushing as well. So maybe
yeah,
that's
yeah,
an area we all should try to figure out a way to navigate better now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's something we're still working through, isn't it? Just how to make that routine work.
Yeah, that's right. How did you find? I think I quite like the fact that you started with exercise and then went to the reading and then went to the meditation. I think for me it kind of makes sense that you did something, raise your heart rate, you quite active, and all of a sudden rather sit and focus on meditation where you try to stay still and try to focus on something. I think reading really helped you to transit into that meditative state later. Did you find that kind of, was it easier for you to do kind of switch between those tasks?
Yeah, yeah, pretty easy. It's I think of it as like when you do circuit training in the gym.
Yeah.
So you've got your equipment set up around you, and you're at this stand, and you do that thing, and then 20 minutes, ding ding, move on to the next thing. So
Yeah.
that's a interesting way to think about not only these three things, but 5 or 6? What other things are you doing? Because of course I had to schedule breakfast in there as well. So how do you fit? Because I didn't eat before this, so this was like literally wake up, toilet, drink water, exercise, read, meditate, then have breakfast.
Yeah.
But I was also then have breakfast quickly and then get onto the writing. So you start, and this is something that's come up a few times in books that I'm reading now, talking about, in I think deep work as well, scheduling every minute of the day. And I've kind of resisted that in a way because I like the flexibility, but this is a good start to the day in terms of being quite definitive about, or time boxing how much you're going to put into things, and seeing how far you get with it. And so far it's certainly not boring, this sort of pattern or routine. It's quite good. I mean, you can change the exercise. So some days it's boxercise, some days it's stretching. You know, there's variety within it. Same with the book. It doesn't always have to be a self-help book. You can just pick up a comic book and read it. Meditation may just be reflecting and writing in a journal, you know, so you can create your own variety within that, so it doesn't become something boring. But that habit side I was mentioning is really critical, because once again, you don't want this to feel like I got to wake up at 5 a.m. Then it feels like work. It's the, and I did do the family thing. So I did share this with my wife and told her what I'm doing and why. And so once again, it's that whole engagement, because last thing I want is, and the kids don't wake up before that, you know, before 7, so that's all right. But I want them to support me in what I'm trying to achieve here as well.
No, that's definitely a good call out. As we have mentioned many times as well, bring people together in this journey, so it will help. I think it will increase your chance of being successful, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's that, definitely that communal side to it. And now that you mentioned it, you know, in the team meeting yesterday, one of the other guys, I mentioned this, what I was doing with the 5 a.m. club, trialing it, and then someone else got into the chat room from the team and they mentioned now they do something similar and here's their routine. And then you talk to other people and they're like, oh, here's what I do and all that sort of thing. And I was building a mental health app a few years ago, and in the workplace, I started to talk to other people about mental health and challenges, and these are many in particular. And I was so surprised at how many other people themselves, family members or others, had been affected by mental health. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. The act of doing this app or creating this app actually created the opportunity to have, you know, really interesting conversations with others around me that you just wouldn't normally have in the workplace. And similarly with this 5 a.m. club, talking about sleep in the workplace, other people start talking about what's challenging them or what's concerning them or what's holding them back, or what their routines are, as per like the 5 a.m. exercise. I mean, a lot of people jump on their bike as well, so they've got their own sort of exercise routines at that time. But it's a real conversation starter as well.
Yeah, that's true. And when you were talking about, something came up to my mind. I think years ago, I remember looking up and Tony Robbins, and he was talking about a mental primer that he does every morning. So his routine, I think it's like about 15-20 minutes in the morning. He just, it's almost like a reflection that he does. And what it does, I think it kind of shapes up your mind to go about on the day. But most importantly, you feel like you have achieved something first thing in the morning because you have completed this task, right? I think similar to that, your what you have done in your 5 a.m. club is that you have achieved 3 tasks by 6 a.m. So you already, like, psychologically you feel like you have already conquered the day. So what comes next? It's I think it makes a massive difference. That feeling.
Yeah, and I think you're spot on, dude. Just that simple act of having achieved something that you intended to achieve. It's not like eating breakfast that you'll just do naturally because your body desires it. But you're saying, I'm going to do this, and you get it done, it's achievable, and
Yeah,
you
that's right.
physically feel better as well.
Yeah, yeah. Now I'm definitely looking forward to try this, and I'll keep you updated.
So when are you going to? When's day one for you?
What's that?
When's day one for you? When do you begin?
As I always say, I'll do it tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow is the day.
It starts with putting your alarm on at 5 a.m., isn't it? Because
yeah,
that's
that's right. That's
kick
right.
it off.
Yeah. Did you? I remember in the habit stacking part we discussed key part is kind of prepping for that activity, right? So how did you prep for it? Did you do anything? Were you moving your books around or keeping everything around? What was your approach?
It was get my drink bottle ready, so have some water next to my bed. It was choose my book first and have the book ready beside my bed, and it was have my iPad nearby so I can use it for the YouTube video. So have all of that nearby. Having all that nearby meant I didn't need to leave the room, and it was all ready and primed, and I guess that was the commitment before sleep that, okay, I've got this set up, I've got to do it. No excuses.
That's right. And you reduces the friction, right? So you can easily now I think that's fantastic tips for anyone who wants to start this now.
And to be honest, they're the things. I mean, I don't normally have a bottle of water by my bed, but I've always got my books to read, and I never read them because the iPad's there anyway, and so you jump on the iPad instead. But this has been a great way to actually get through my books as well, because you've got this daily habit, so you just start plowing through the books. What next? What next? What next? So now I'm going back through books that I've half read. Most of my books are half read, and just finishing them off. And this is sort of like a great way to do it, because I'm supposed to read it. But the funny thing is that my kids, for their school homework, also have to do 20 minutes of reading a day. So it's kind of like, oh, you do your reading, I'll do my reading. I mean, we're doing it at different times, but it's just a funny sort of contrast between what they need to do and the why. But for them, it's they're building vocabulary. Hopefully I am too.
And also it helps them to build a bit of discipline as well to get into reading. I feel like nowadays it's very easy for younger generation to get out of reading because devices are a lot more addictive for them, right? So I think it builds a bit of discipline into them as well.
Yeah. At least that discipline's working on the older one, not the younger one yet. Yeah. I think the tricky thing is for them is getting a story that they're engaged in, and you can throw into them into a library and they can still find nothing that they're interested in. It's really hard to they'll base it off the front cover and then see a wall of words and go, oh no, I don't want that one. But which kind of helps if you put them in front of the movie first sometimes. So the kids have never been into Harry Potter a lot. And we gave them the books, not really into it. And while in Japan, we went to Universal Studios Japan, which has the most incredible Harry Potter sort of ride and everything. And now they love it, and it's like they've experienced it, and they've come back. But it's hard to get them engaged in everything.
Yeah. And it's a good point on reading as well. If you don't like something, you don't feel like you are committed to finish that book, right? Just you have finite amount of time. Just maybe pick the next book, and hopefully that will be a bit more interesting for you.
Yeah, that's true. The interesting thing about, I mean, the books that I'm reading at the moment, like deep work, a lot of books of that nature. The question is, it's like reading a textbook. The question is, do you actually apply it? And I'm curious about how many people actually apply the theories that they read. Is that something that you find that you apply more or less of the things that you've read?
I think I struggle with certain books because certain books are a bit vague on that. It doesn't necessarily distill the actionable steps at the end. So
Mm,
sometimes if I quickly go through the book, I think I don't comprehend enough for me to quickly apply that. Certain books, on the other hand, I think the delivery is so much better. You actually they give actionable steps to bring back. So I
mm,
would apply that. Um, so I think for me, it really depends on the book as well. I
yeah,
think I started taking notes, which really increased the application part. I think
yeah.
rather than
Okay.
just keep reading the book,
Yeah.
so you can go back to the refer back to the notes and then start actually applying them in your space.
Mm,
So for me, it really increased that. But I think self-help books in general survive. That whole genre survives because people don't apply, right? So they keep next book to apply.
yeah. Yeah.
So that's the problem there. Um, but at least hopefully this episode will encourage people to apply. We are picking
Yeah.
this up from Robin Sharma's 5 a.m. Club, and then actually applying, and it looks like there's positive benefit
Yeah.
of that
Yeah.
application.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Well, at least I can say so. Next time, hopefully, you can too.
yeah, that's right. I'm thinking I've committed now in here in YouTube, so I feel like I'll have to now.
Yeah. What would be the hurdles that you think may be challenging for you to adopt this?
I think it's just that mindset of of t- t- getting used to waking up earlier than I'm currently doing. I think
Mm,
it's almost like it kind of reminds me of high school days. You have to wake up early to go to school, that sort of feeling. I think that's
mm,
the biggest barrier. It's purely psychological, for me at this stage. Probably that's the reason I haven't done it. And with this working from home, I really struggle to find
mm.
come up with a proper routine now, because when I go to the office, I tend to wake up tad earlier. If
Oh,
I
okay.
work
Yeah.
from home, I think I sleep in like half an hour more. So
Yeah.
I think it's not a valid excuse. It's just one of the excuses I think I come up with, saying, "Now it's very hard for me to balance." But I think it all
Yeah.
comes down to that discipline. If you wake up a bit earlier and make sure that you wake up at the same time, then you can actually come around that.
Yeah. And I think if you if you don't think of it as a big lifestyle change, like
Yeah,
completely changing your diet forever,
yeah,
that might be easier to ease into, which is why I said for myself, I'm just going to do it for 5 days. It's a 5 day
yeah,
challenge. If it
yeah,
works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I'm not
yeah,
feeling like this is it. I'm changed for the rest of my life. This is how I want to operate. So I think
yeah,
it's a nice way to ease into it. Just try it for 5 days. If it doesn't work, that's all right. But
yeah,
what I found was you do it for those 5 days, then you work out what works for you and what doesn't,
yeah. That's
and then
true.
you can tweak it accordingly. It's like, yeah, maybe 5:30 is better for you, or maybe 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes you could do instead of 20
Yeah,
minutes
true.
each, and
Actually,
all
yeah,
that sort of thing.
yeah,
So there's a lot of variables there, and I think part of just getting started is working out what works and what doesn't work.
yeah, yeah. And I think the core, it's the concept is not waking up 5 a.m. I think it's just following those things first thing in the morning when you wake up as
Mm.
a routine, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. As long as there's a sufficient time in the morning, so
Morning,
you're
yeah,
not doing meditation and then running off to the car. So
yeah,
I'm gonna get to work.
yeah, yeah. That's right.
So yeah, that urgency really kills the meditation. If you're in your head, you're going, "Oh, what's the time? Any minute now, any minute now," then it sort
That's
of like it
right.
defeats the
Yeah,
purpose.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think there were really good nuggets in this discussion that I can actually take and apply myself.
Yeah, good, good. So my takeaway or my recommendation for anyone listening, if they want to ease into this, is yeah, just start with 5 days as a starting point. Um, Commit to 5 days. Just commit. It's like not
Yeah,
one day I'll do it and try it or not, but 5 days feels like enough time to experience it in a range of situations.
yeah,
Let the household know what you're trying to achieve, and then so they can have some consideration for you. Um, be prepared before you sleep. So have your book and if you've got equipment for exercise, then have it all ready, but make sure that when you wake up, you can hit the ground running literally and not have to worry about, oh, where's my skipping rope or where's this or that. Have all that ready, and I think that's it. You follow those 20-20-20 and try it out and see how you feel. And I think that at the end of it, it's reflecting on, well, how do I feel now? It's 6 o'clock, and I've just achieved these 3 things.
Yeah.
And you may find yourself rubbing your hands going, well, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
Quite often I found that it's like, wow, it's so early. What am I going to do now? It's like, oh, should I start work? And that's interesting because maybe I could start work an hour early and knock off an hour early now. And that buys me time to work on other side projects.
Yeah.
Side projects can begin from 4 instead of, whatever.
Yeah, that's right. That's true.
Yeah. So that's good. This might be enough for this sort of episode to sort of sink our teeth into and sort of share. But like, I really encourage others to try it out. It sort of builds on a bit of habit stacking and a bit of this and a bit of that. A lot of the other books that we've talked about and read. But I think this has been, at least for me, I'm not a morning person. You recall my chronotype, but that accomplishment, it was like, wow, this is worthwhile maintaining. That's the takeaway that I've had for myself.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think great discussion on that.
Cool. Well, thanks a lot. Thanks for listening, everyone, and hopefully, as of this episode, we are now live on Apple Podcasts as well. I forgot to press the publish button, so it wasn't there now. Hopefully, the rest of the episodes start coming through, and if you prefer watching on your iPad, then or iPhone, or whatever iDevice you've got, then you can enjoy that now. So thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time.